Coming to Grand Rapids, Michigan on September 21st and 22nd is GrandCon Gaming and Comics Convention, presented by Celebration Cinemas. Join us in playing or chatting it up with fellow enthusiasts in a community that understands your passions. Get lost in the adventure of your favorite role-playing game. Admire costumes and art from vendors and attendees. Meet the creators behind your favorite mainstream and independent games and comic books. Check out unpublished games and sneak peek at things to come. You can get all this and more at GrandCon. For more information, please visit www.grand-con.com.
This is Kevin Conroy, and I am the goddamn Batman.
Welcome to The Pull Bag. Join us as we dig out our latest comics and discuss them with the rotating panel of the GCRN crew. So sit back and enjoy this week's Pull Bag.
Spoilers.
Hello and welcome to the latest edition of The Pull Bag, Episode 4. I'm your host, Steve Megatron Phillips, and joining me as always is...
TF Joe and Mike, hello.
Hello. Yes.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
Yes.
Yes. Today we get to talk about the magnificent Bat Issues 18.
Yes, but before we get into that, there has been a bunch of news. One news item I didn't even, I wasn't paying attention to. I don't know how I missed this. Which is that Scott Snyder, the current head Batman writer, is going to be writing Superman Unchained coming up later this year. That was very interesting.
Yes.
To see. I don't know. I don't need another reason to get another comic. I'm already reading so many at this point. I don't think I will be picking up Superman Unchained, even though I'm sure Snyder will do amazing work with it. But I just find it so interesting that they are taking the current writers on whatever series it might be and then putting them into something else that either I read or you read or whatever. And it's so cool what DC's doing right now.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, it's just so cool. And the huge news for me and for you as well probably is Batman Beyond and Justice League Beyond get new creative teams.
Thank God. I'm so tired of the mixed content in these issues.
Okay. Now, you say that, and I agree with you. I just found out today before we recorded this episode why they do that.
So they can market them all, and because they're in the same timeline?
Sort of, but Batman Beyond, Justice League Beyond, and Superman Beyond Unlimited are all digital firsts. So if you want the Batman Beyond story, you get it digitally. That's all you need. The reason why Batman, Justice, and Supes Beyond...
Because they're not a full issue.
All in one book, because it's not a full issue. I just realized that today when I was reading through this news article about the new creative themes for Batman Beyond and Justice League Beyond, and I was like, oh, okay, I get that. That's great. But you would think, specifically to Batman Beyond Unlimited number 13, they broke the story up in that book. You would think it says Batman Beyond Unlimited. That's the name of the friggin' title of the released comic. You would think that they would put the Batman Beyond stories first, whereas in Batman Beyond 13, as we talked about over on Geekcast Radio, it has the first part of the Batman story with all that backlogging and all that stuff with the not asylum, mausoleum and all that stuff under. It has all that, and then it breaks into a Justice League story. That's why I didn't like it initially. With what we'll talk about at the end of today's episode, Batman Beyond Unlimited number 14, it starts with the Batman Beyond story and then goes to the others. So I don't mind it when the Batman Beyond story is at the beginning, where it should be, since that's the title of the book. But I don't like it when they split it up So, but yeah, the new creative teams. Oh god, I cannot wait. I will mention the Justice League team, but we're not gonna really talk about that because that to me it's big news, but it's not like that's not my main focus. I'm gonna read here off of IGN. Batman Beyond and Justice League Beyond, two of DC's popular digital first series on DC Comics app, are getting some new blood this summer. Taking over the adventures of Terry McGinnis and Batman Beyond will be current Nightwing scribe Kyle Higgins, along with artist Tony Silas, who did Venom over at Marvel, and the amazing Sean Murphy, and colorist Jordi Belair on cover duties. As for the future incarnation of the Justice League, writer Christos Gage, Avengers Academy, and artist Ivan Coelho from Superboy will be taking the reins of Justice League Beyond. I am so happy that Kyle is taking over Batman Beyond because Kyle is just like you and I. He grew up watching DCAU. He's not going to inject everything that they didn't put in the Batman Beyond episodes, but he knows that mythology. It's not just somebody coming in, blind. He is a fan of it, and I cannot wait for this summer for Batman Beyond Unlimited. It's going to be so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts on this news?
Being that I don't read Nightwing, I don't really have a preference. Although I can't see where you can really go wrong with Beyond, especially since it's especially been alluding to and leading up to more ties to the actual Batman Beyond cartoon.
Right.
So, especially the previous issue or I think it's this issue has has the Return of the Joker elements in it, and then has
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just adding icing on the cake, and you have previous, you have the previous Robins, and
right.
all that. So
I'll have to go back and see if I can find it. I'll have to go back and link it in the post maybe. I think it was Comic Vine that I found a link to this news as well, but it was a video clip of someone at WonderCon, because WonderCon just ended last weekend or the weekend before. It was a video with someone from Comic Vine interviewing Kyle at the con, and Kyle said that when he takes over, they're going to time advance the world. So Terry's not going to be in college anymore. Or no, Terry's not going to be in high school anymore. He's going to be in college. And during the time advance, there was something that happened that changed the dynamic of all the relationships he has with the people in his life.
That sounds like Death of the Family.
No.
There was a change that affected the entire...
Yes, but... No. What other Robin can they kill off? I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be a Robin. I meant
right.
The Death of the Family in the sense that everybody's kind of...
Yeah. Well, I don't know exactly. Yeah, I mean, Kyle was throwing hints out, but obviously he's not going to spoil it for us, thank God. The other thing in the intro here that we have to talk about is Injustice, Gods Among Us #3. You did not pick this up, correct?
No, I didn't want any part of Wonder Woman. Plus, I couldn't find the issue, so I was... I not that I really cared to get it.
Right.
I mostly wanted it for the Batman element and the Superman element back and forth.
Right. This progresses the story from last issue. In part 3, you've got Superman going all over the world, stopping missiles, and it's continuing the story, obviously, of Superman wants a better world peace or face my wrath type of thing. And then it kind of switches in the midst of it. You've got something with Gorilla Grodd in here. You've got more Superman stuff. I'm just kind of flipping through it myself and I've read it. It was good, but it really lost me. There's one page. There's one page where Batman is in the Oval Office and talking with the president. One panel is, you don't touch a man's parents. Don't call out. They said it couldn't be tracked back to me. It couldn't. I was playing a hunch. It's not a hunch anymore, though. Will you tell them of my involvement? No, but if they do work it out, it's basically Batman's not threatening the president, but
He's saying
basically-
that you've already dug this hole, and if they figure it out,
Exactly.
you're on your own.
Exactly. And then after that page is when it switches to basically you've got Ares narrating. At first I thought it was Batman narrating because it's done in a... You know how they have the narration bubbles? They're not speech bubbles, but they're... You know what I'm talking about, right? It's a black background with white text. At first I thought it was Batman narrating, then I realized it was Ares, one of Wonder Woman's villains, one of the gods, etc. And then it switches to her story, and to me, Wonder Woman is Linda Carter in the 70s television series. That's what Wonder Woman is to me. Or the voice of Susan Eisenberg in Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. That's what it is to me. I've never really gotten behind and really gotten into the whole maybe I should rephrase that. I've never really been interested in reading Wonder Woman comics at all. I just don't. She's a great character when she's with the Justice League, but by herself, I don't find it interesting at all. So that was what Injustice was. We got a big episode for you guys because we've got it's not going to be a long one, but we got a lot to talk about. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back with the morning of Robin.
My brain's not a nice place to be.
First up for the Bat books is I had to get this. I had to pick it up because I love the cover. Batman and Robin. This is all your damn fault. You know that, right? I wasn't reading this at all until you showed me that cover for, I think it was issue 14 or 15, where it's the two mad. It's Batman looks like he's mad, and Robin. It's basically clown face Batman and Robin. This is all your damn fault. But Batman and Robin number 18 is basically Bruce Wayne mourning the loss of Damian, his son. And there's outside of the title, which is undone, and all the credits right there, outside of that and one note, there's no lettering, no dialogue, no nothing in this issue as far as speech bubbles, thought bubbles, whatever. It's all... This issue of Batman and Robin pretty much takes the old saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words, quite friggin' literally. And as much as I don't care for Damian Wayne when he's, talking and voicing his opinion to people, I really dug this issue. I thought this was great because you see Bruce remembering all of the different adventures that he and his son went on. And when it gets to the end of the book, there's a really nice splash page of Batman just all dark, lightning behind him, and cape just out. It's a great. I love the art in this book. It's so well done. And when you get to, and this is going to be spoilers, and I would have put the Joker spoiler warning before this episode, but do you mind me spoiling this, or
I don't care.
Okay, it's up to you, because I know you didn't get this one, did you?
No, it has to be kind of one of those selective things, and I just chose not to get it.
Basically, Bruce he's in the cave, and apparently there are lockers in the Batcave now. I guess. And he goes, I don't know, because it looks
sweaty gym socks and.
It looks like the cave to me, so I'm just going to say it's the cave. But inside Robin's locker, a letter with what looks like a red sticker or a rose or whatever. I don't know. It looks weird. The letter says, "Father, I'm sure you'll be angry with me for disobeying you again, but I don't care. I will not let you fight Leviathan alone. You need me, and I will always be at your side. Because it will be hard for me to say these words face to face, I want you to know that Mother may have given me life, but you taught me how to live. Love and respect, your son, Damien. And then, yeah. And then the next page is basically Bruce crumpling the letter up and screaming. And he's going off. He's destroying the lockers. He's pissed. And the page after that is basically him on his knees, clutching the Robin costume in his hands, and behind it is the boots and the a really really weird looking red batarang, but it was a very very powerful issue. In the future, I think it's when it gets to issue 21, Batman and Robin is going to take an interesting turn, because in issue 21 they renamed the book Batman and Batgirl.
I'm sure it'll be a temporary thing.
No, no. I know
it'll be Batman and Red Hood and Batman and Nightwing, and they'll.
Right, I know it is a temporary thing, but I really like this. I like the whole dynamic of Batman and Robin 18, where you don't need Bruce. You don't need an inner monologue with him. You just need to look at the art, and the art is so amazing. It's so great. If you guys get a chance to pick this one up, you really, really should. All right, so we are going to be moving on.
Welcome to Gotham.
Up next, we're going to be talking about Batgirl. Now, I know Steve doesn't read Batgirl, but I do. I have to. I love her character, and every time I read her, no matter who's writing her, whether it's Gail Simone or Ray Fox, which Gail Simone, coming up with the 19 issues, she's back, because obviously she got rehired, so I'll be back to my normal story-loving self with this. I mean, I like the story in Batgirl 18 more than I did in Batgirl 17 from Ray Fox. Again, the art by Daniel Samperi, I think is how you say his name. I don't know. Semper. I'm not sure. Is amazing. It's basically continuing the aftermath of Death of the Family and the fact that James Jr. Basically fed her up to the Joker, and it's James Jr. going after Barbara. In one of the pages, it's Commissioner Gordon talking to Bullock. And he gets a text message. It's so funny. Jim says, "Excuse me." It shows the phone with like an envelope saying it's a text message, and all the message says is roof-B.
Nice.
It's so And Jim says to him, he goes, "My God, Batman, you look like hell. What's wrong?" And then he tells him that, obviously, that Robin has died and whatever else. And then Jim calls Barbara. And it's basically continuing the story of brother versus sister and James Jr.'s whole sick and twisted plan of just torturing his sister. What's interesting to me is what's going to happen in the next issue, issue 19, because at the end of this issue it says, "Next, Batgirl, murderer." So I'm really stoked. I liked issue 18. It's great. I love the cover. Initially I didn't like the cover because what I found out that they did was, with all the covers of the 18 issues, they put other artwork that's in the books as the covers at first because they didn't want to reveal the Requiem covers. They didn't want to spoil them. Because all the 18 issues are Requiem covers, and I just love the fact that it's the little Robin on her shoulder, and it's Batgirl just looks like she's sitting there, just with her eyes closed. I really, really, really enjoyed that. And again, yay, Gail Simone's back on Batgirl, coming up next month, and we'll see what happens then. So again, we'll be back in a moment.
Here, kid. I think you lost this.
I could have handled him.
Coulda, woulda, didn't.
You sound just like Batman.
I'm nothing like him.
Yeah, right. The mask, the attitude, the long underwear.
Drop it.
I'd love to know what happened between you two.
Things change.
No kidding. You guys used to be the greatest. Batman and Robin, the dynamic duo.
Maybe you should ask him.
I did. And you'll never guess what he said. Things change.
It was building for a long time. I realize that now. It was never really right. I mean, this isn't exactly a normal childhood.
Let me ask you, Steve. What is your overall opinion of Dick Grayson, whether it's as Robin or as Nightwing? Do you like the character?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Because I really think eventually when you can, you don't have to do it right away, obviously, but I think you would really enjoy reading Nightwing. I really think you would. And
I like Dick Grayson. I like him better than any of the other Robins.
Right.
Tim Drake is good too because he becomes Red Robin and he's basically like another Bruce in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah. What I liked, and see that's the thing though. In this issue, in the Requiem issue 18 for Nightwing, what is going on is obviously Dick is grieving, but what had happened was in one of the other issues, I think it was it issue 17? It was last issue. Last issue was the whole thing of Nightwing on a rampage, and only Robin can save him or stop him or whatever else. Last issue, I feel that, and I haven't read everything with the whole Talia and the two of them having Damian. I don't know all that history, but everything I had read to the point of Batman 13 forward so far, I just don't feel, outside of the Batman and Robin we talked about in this issue, I don't feel a connection with Bruce and Damian as father and son. It's too weird for me because he is also Talia's son, and because Talia seems to want to raise him to be the next Ra's al Ghul. I just don't feel a connection between Bruce and Damian. However, in issue 19 with Nightwing, there is a connection with Dick and Damian, because in issue 17, at the end of the issue 17 is them swinging around the city, and Damian's talking to him and they're talking stuff out, and by the end of the issue they're like, oh, I like this is really fun, really got my mind off of everything from what happened in Death of the Family and all that stuff and everything else, and at the end of the issue they start talking about video games. And in this issue, what happens is that Nightwing had told him in the last issue, well, I'll order the game and you can come over and we'll play it or whatever else. Well, the game comes. Obviously, Damian's not there.
Yeah.
And it sets him off, and it gets him so angry. And I love that about it. And he's turning to Sonia Branch, who, again, this might be spoilers for some people who don't know this. Sonia Branch is actually Sonia Zuko. She is Tony Zuko's daughter. Yeah. And apparently they had a relationship at one point or another. And they have a whole thing talking it out and everything else. And then on one of the pages, Batman shows up. And it basically goes, Nightwing says, and this is in monologue, I know I'm pulling away, but after Bruce lying to me about the Joker terrorizing Haley Circus, and now Damian, after everything that's happened, maybe it isn't the worst thing in the world if I'm by myself for a while. And then the bottom of the page is, you see Batman, get dressed. I swear it says that, and it's so funny. And then the next page is that initial art that we saw when you were like, oh, hey, Batman's on the cover of Nightwing. It's that page when they're swinging through the city and everything else, and they go and find this. Nightwing ends up finding this auction house where they're going to auction off his father's original Haley's Circus, his father's original trapeze costume.
Mm-hmm.
And that all happens and everything else.
I think it's the original Nightwing costume too.
Um, let me look.
I want to say that it is.
No, it's his father's circus outfit, is what it is.
I know that, but I mean, it's the original Nightwing costume.
Oh, okay.
Like
Okay,
the first one.
Yeah, not the red, the blue. Yeah. And the end of the issue is basically, and again, I'm going to read from the issue. It says, oops. It basically says, I was there, Sonia. I was at the funeral. What you're telling me is it was faked. I don't know what it was. Then how? The email came 6 months ago, and the picture mentions with the dog Coco. I took a picture with that dog and gave it to him before he quote-unquote died. Is Tony Zuko still alive? Next issue, new city, new friends, new foes, and the hunt for Tony Zuko begins. Nightwing's going to Chicago, ladies and gentlemen. So awesome. So awesome. Absolutely love Nightwing. Can't wait for more of that. So we're going to move on so I can stop gushing for a while.
Sorry. Third night in a row with no sleep.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. The brunt of this issue, Batman number 18. Take it away, sir.
Yes. Batman 18, we basically run into... He's on a self-destructive trip.
Pretty much, yeah.
And the only person that seems to see his dilemma and kind of understand him is Harper Row, who, if you remember, was mentioned earlier just after the Night of Owls and before the death of the family.
Right.
She runs like the power grid and discovered... So she's been tracking Batman's crazy, escapades through Gotham City, watching him run himself ragged to the point that even a simple street thug is being able to pound his ass.
Yeah.
And she's trying to help break him from this self-destructive path and kind of relate to him and so on. And in essence, she puts on a costume and attempts to help him, and she gets popped in the face. But it's interesting. I mean,
yeah, it is.
To watch him hurt this bad to where he's just lost all sense of control.
Right, because in the issue he says he hasn't slept in 5 days, or he hasn't slept in a week, or he hasn't slept in X amount of days, and he's just going out there, not just night after night after night, but whole days, whole 24-hour periods where he's doing nothing but patrolling, looking for the most insignificant piece of crime in Gotham. And he's just, as you said, running himself ragged. And
he uses everyone as a punching bag in this issue.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. I was really, when I first read this, because I think, isn't Harper Row a character Scott created?
Yes. And I guess from what I've been reading is they've got some huge plans for her later on.
Yeah.
So my guess is she's going to eventually become his sidekick, and not a Robin, but something totally different.
My prediction is she's going to be the new Batgirl. That's what my prediction is. Or
how's she going to be the new Batgirl if there already is a Batgirl?
There can be two Batgirls. There was Barbara Gordon, Cassandra Cain.
Yeah, except Barbara Gordon was in a wheelchair. And there was only one actual Batgirl at a time. I don't think she'll become Batgirl. I think she'll be something completely different.
But she's going to be I think it would be cool if she did become... obviously, you would tailor it to a female, but just do something slightly different on the Robin suit, and she would become a female... We haven't had a female Robin since Carrie Kelly, so why not do it now?
They're clearly saying that they're not going to make her a Robin, though.
Yeah. When I first read this issue, it took me by surprise, and it took me out of it, because it's like 5 or 6 full pages of her story and nothing. Like, it's like the 6th page or the 7th page where it gets to anything to do with Bat. Like, I was so like, what the hell is going on here? Because I have not read anything else with her. I know Snyder had created her in a different series or something, but I had not read anything with her, so I was kind of like taken out of it. But the writing is great, the art is great as always. I absolutely love where they're going with this. I know, and everybody knows this is not a spoiler, when we get to Batman number 21, that's 0 year. So I'm going to be really interested to see how Snyder and his team wrap up 19 and 20. 20 specific, like 19, I don't know what's going to happen, but just from the cover of Batman 19, I can almost kind of guess a little bit what might happen. But it's one of those things where I'm really interested to see how they're going to end this part of Batman's story and then go into 0 year.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering what they're going to do there as well, but I guess only time will tell.
Yeah. Is there anything else from Batman 18 that stuck out to you?
Basically that he does get a night's sleep. He talks to Harper Row, who comes to confront Wayne, and he kind of comes to his senses and calms down, gets some sleep, and then goes back out and meets with her at the next night and apologizes, and basically they, go on their merry little way.
Yeah.
By the end of the issue. But yeah, that's it. It shows that he's starting to calm down. He just had to, get that 5-day temper tantrum out of his system. Because that's the only way he knows how to deal with the problem.
Right, yeah. And then close to the end of the issue, she tells him, keep your eyes peeled on Wayne Enterprises. Just another 30 seconds or so. Hopefully it'll mean something to you, too.
And it was a giant R.
Well, it's a giant R.
But it doesn't spell it. I can't remember what it spells, but it's not. I don't think it's Requiem. It's something.
No. It's Resolve.
Resolve. That's what it was, and that's the continuation of the Requiem.
Of Requiem, yeah. But apparently there's going to be 2 chapters in that, so it's going to be really, really interesting. I cannot wait. Even though I was a little taken aback at the beginning of this issue, I still loved this issue because I loved seeing the differences between someone looking in on Batman's life that, to my knowledge, and I could be wrong, you can correct me, I don't know how much interaction she's had with him before, if this was the first, real one-on-one interaction that the 2 characters have had.
This is the second time that Harper Rose had interaction with Batman.
Okay.
Ever.
Okay. All right. Well, this is my first exposure to her, and I like her character. I think it's great. I think it's going to be interesting if they make her a sidekick. I'm not saying, obviously, they'd make her Robin, because apparently they're not doing that, but, make her some sort of other sidekick, because they really had chemistry. I really, really enjoyed it. So... All right, we are going to take a quick break. You're going to hear some ads and some other stuff, and we'll come back with some more final thoughts and one other thing that I want to bring up before we close the show.
50 years ago, a little old man brought his little blue box to a junkyard, and now Doctor Who is a cultural phenomena worldwide. Join the Geekcast Radio Network and Mark Who 42's Whoniverse as we review Doctor Who episodes past and present. Discuss the Doctor's friends and enemies. See where the Doctor's been, where he is, and where he's going. Sit back and grab a jelly baby and join Mark Who 42's Whoniverse. It's the ride of this and every other lifetime.
Fantastic.
Allons-y.
This is 80s action sensation Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I'm here to tell you about the podcast I produced called Punisher Body Count. It's the net's best Punisher podcast, but don't take my word for it. Listen to the hosts. Punisher Body Count is a work in progress. To listen to this great show, you can find this on iTunes. Just search Punisher Body Count or come to our website, PunisherBodyCount.com.
So let's say you're looking for a podcast of your favorite 80s comic books, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Ninja Turtles, He-Man, etc. Where are you going to go to find us?
Welcome to Star Joe's Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan.
And I'm Chuck. That's right, everybody. We're the Star Joes. We host a podcast called Star Joe's Podcast, where we talk about your favorite comic books, your favorite toys of all the 80s properties.
Star Wars, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Mask, Thundercats, Voltron, you name it, we cover it. If it's in the 80s, we'll cover it at some point.
Yes, so what you want to do to find us, you can go to iTunes, you can go to www.starjoes.com.
And remember, the Force will be with you.
Because knowing us is half the battle.
Is this thing on? Oh, goody. Why, hello there. It's your dear old Uncle Joker here. I bet you're asking yourself, what could I be possibly doing here of all places? Well, I'm laughing at the fact that this new podcast presented by Geekcast Radio is called Legends of the Dark Knight. Who the heck knew the Bat was so popular? Ugh. Join Steve, Mike, and sometimes Tara for reviews on the greatest DC animated universe cartoon to ever meet Gotham City. So join moi for the talk of the town, or I'll send Captain Clown after you. He gets mighty angry when he doesn't get to have his garbage skull. So put on a nice big smile and join us for the next Geekcast Radio Network podcast, Legends of the Dark Knight.
Give me a triple. Now.
And we are back. Before we close, I got Batman Beyond Unlimited number 14. Steve did not. And as I said earlier in the beginning of this podcast, that I like when they put the Batman story at the front and don't mix it up with whatever else. The basic thing in this story is it's showing Dana, it's showing the aftermath of 10,000 Clowns still. It's showing that Terry is in the hospital, Dana's in the hospital, Bruce is in the hospital. And at one point, she goes to Terry and says, "Come with me, I want to take you somewhere." He's like, "Oh, let's go to the cafeteria, blah, blah, blah." She goes, "No, I want to go to Bruce Wayne's room." It's so funny because in one of the panels, after she tells him she wants to go to Bruce Wayne's room, he goes, "What is it, something to do with Batman?" She says, "Yeah, it kind of does." Next page, "You're in love with him, aren't you?" "You're in love with Batman!" And she goes, "Oh, Terry, thanks for giving me the first smile I can remember in I don't know how long." And basically, it kind of flashes back to a time when Terry as Batman saved her. And then it flashes back to the hospital with them in Bruce's room. She basically tells them she knows. It's kind of obvious. Before, Terry met Bruce, he wasn't as physically fit as he is now, being Batman. He didn't have so many scars and bruises before he met Bruce. And then she basically figures out that obviously Bruce was the original. So it's a very, very interesting story. Absolutely loved it. And I can't wait to see what else happens. Like I am hooked on Batman Beyond Unlimited. I absolutely love it. As long as they keep the Batman Beyond story, the first story in the book, I will most definitely continue to read it. Absolutely awesome. What other things are you looking forward to in the comic book world?
Just Batman Detective Comics and then Batman Beyond for the most part. I mean, I'm still gonna do Injustice. It just kind of depends.
Yeah.
But the other ones definitely.
Yeah. What happened in Detective this month? Because we didn't really cover that.
Detective, basically what the gist of it is Batman is going after Oswald Cobblepot, and you come to find out that Ogilvy, Emperor Penguin, is basically running the show and setting off Cobblepot and kind of making him the poor bitch that he wants him to be. Emperor Penguin has turned him into a poor little bitch, and Batman's attempting to lock back up Cobblepot. However, he can't because he doesn't have enough proof. And he gets kind of pushed off of that because Cash comes up to him and tells him, "Oh yes, we've got a problem. We're missing an inmate, the one that counts." And then it shows a room with all the, the crosses around the room, and you notice that Zaz is no longer there. And Emperor Penguin is the one that is helping Zaz and happens to give him a particular, blade that I'm not sure where it came from. I think it was either one of the Talons or it was Cobblepot's. I'm not sure. I think it was one of the Court of Owls relics. The thing is he did something with this particular, there's this blue liquid, and he has in a jar, which leads into Detective 19, which I've read today. Okay. And it has to do with it in a big way, and he basically tells Zaz what to do, and kind of finds and hires Zaz, and wants him to go around and murder all of Cobblepot's lawyers. And basically to keep him from ever getting high up again. So,
yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of a lot of back and forth. He's trying to hunt down Zaz, and then there's just pretty much one thing after another. It's running around town, and he still. He didn't find Zaz because he finds him in the next one.
Interesting.
But Penguin is kind of running around through this one too, before finally getting his ass caught.
I also started reading Birds of Prey, only because Christy Marks, head writer of Gem, is writing that book now, and we've talked with Christy several times. Probably in a couple of months, when she's still writing that, I'll probably have her back on to talk about that for an interview at some point. But I started reading that. We're not going to obviously cover it because this episode's gone on long enough already. But it's interesting. I like it. I like the different dynamics with Batgirl interacting with Black Canary and all that stuff, and it's very cool, very well done writing, and I love the art in that book as well. So, any final thoughts?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Well, we will see you. Steve and I will see you again closer to the end of April when all of the 19 issues are out, and we'll see what happens then. Until then, make your great escape into comics.
You just heard the latest episode of The Pullbag, GCRN's comic book review podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate our show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Call the voicemail line, 502-526-5821. Please remember to tell us the show you were leaving the message for and your name. Become a fan of us on Facebook by searching Geekcast Radio Network. You can send us an email, feedback@geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter @GeekCastRadio. So until next time, unleash the geek in you.